And we're back. And I want to give a warm, warm welcome to Camilla Steen Larsen. She's joining us tonight from Denmark. And thank you so much, Camilla, for joining She Is Me. Really appreciate you taking the time today. We are going to let Camilla talk to you. She is the founder of Embodied Permission. And here we go.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, first of all, for inviting me in. And I had the pleasure of listening to your introduction. And as I just shared, there was all these nodding heads of resonance. So I just really feel honored and super excited to be here. To share a little first about me, a little storytelling, but also what I do. I always go through the body. So we're going to have a few little inquiries also. So first off, I will be looking down because I took notes. Always I'm like on the spot. So if I look down, don't worry. It's just because I've actually put stuff on paper for once. So here I am in Denmark. You find me at a place where I've sold all my belongings. I sold my apartment. I closed my studio down. I, like you shared, Lisa, this downsizing, this, and I'm gonna go into the story of coming up to it. But this whole idea of coming to a state and a place in my life, and especially a stress level in my nervous system that I no longer could overhear. And that has required a lot of letting go, some very financial, beneficial co-creations that I was part of to really hone in of what I'm here to be, and to write a permission slip that I teach all the time, but to start with ourselves, right? That we have a tendency to put ourselves second or seventh on the list. So I even took a little note on conscious devotion, the conscious devotion to ourselves and the needs we have, and the space we live in, how we speak to ourselves, and how we dare to also be in the discomfort. So all of that I'm gonna wrap into a weave of why Embodied Permission was created, and what led to it, why the tagline, and my intention for you is to be an inspiration. Take what resonates for you, and if something is activated or something when we don't like agree, or even some resistance in one of the inquiries, you're like, I don't want to go up and move, but we're not going to be moving. We're just going to occupy our mental bodies with images rather than having the tendency to be on the next to-do list and the next deadline. And I should also be this and that. So just notice what comes up. It's really a somatic experience that usually I would be in front of you and we would have some kind of inquiry. We would maybe be moving, walking, dropping our tails as heavy avatar tails swaying the floor behind us and tickling the clouds under the belly with the top of our head. That was just one little sneak peek of what we're going to do later. I'm just noticing that I'm getting super excited. So I am still unlearning my normal pace. And the normal pace is that I have this freaking Vikingness that just has so much power in me, and at the same time always had a little background of being too much or not enough. And that was one for me that was the hidden driver behind it all. And we're also gonna dance a little into this. But my intention for you, that you walk away with a little more spaciousness, a little more internal space for being with what I call both the beauty and the beast. The nervous system, tiny, as you were talking a lot about that, Lisa, and I love to echo what you said. Our nervous systems are meant to keep us safe. They're not meant to make us thrive. And here we are, constantly in the learned ways, aiming for the next, being the next, expanding the business, I don't know, have more clients, or in whatever business you're in. There's always some kind of raising of the bar, which is great. Like that's that ambition, that's that fire in us, right? And to know that the nervous system, as soon as a change occurs, it is initially feeling it as a threat. It's a biochemistry reaction going on. And you talked about the fight and flight or the freeze, but there's also the fawning. I'm fine. Yep, I'm fine. Which is another way that we have a tendency to overhear an aroused nervous system that's on overwork. So just to know that every time we want to do change, whether it's in our health, in our diet, in our relationship status, in our work, in the amount of money that we desire to express and be receiving, there's that little biochemistry reaction going on, that thing, that tension, that little contraction, we have had them several times throughout our lives, right? And it lives in our body, especially in our deep body, especially in the tendons of our, what I call the deep body, but the floor of our pelvis. So there I was, realizing that I was running faster than I could follow. Noticing that I was always, no matter how, I was traveling the world and teaching teacher trainings and running my studio and beautiful guy. And the whole thing was like running a school of a modality of conscious movement. Even I was the alumni coordinator. And there was still this little part behind it all that I never felt it was enough. So I really got into this discovery, and you touched on that too, Lisa. You went on a quest. That little open curiosity. What if less was more? What if I began to see what was actually behind that not enoughness? And I'm not going to go into that whole personal development. I just want to come into, before I created Embodied Permission, I've been teaching. I started with hip hop at 14, and I never stopped teaching since. So I've been a movement teacher my entire life. And I always went through the body. I have all the Chinese medicine. I have a Nia education. I took soul motion to Denmark, along with Nia. And all of a sudden it was like, I have all these tools, and here I am, exhausted in my badassery of getting shit done, my masculine learned way of, if I just by my will, by my power, push through this, I'm going to somehow feel better or feel like it's enough. So it became this like, push pull experience. And my nervous system just went down on it. So a very clear decision was made. And that was, I'm going to discover what if less is more. And I gave myself 3 months of following the current of effortlessness. I was like, if I can just give myself 3, it's not about closing the business, it's not about anything, but just to be in that. What happens when I widen for the narrow, lower my body? And that became a big shitload of stuff coming up, of all the hidden drivers of not enoughness, of fear, of doubt, of noticing how it had been a validation, like finding my value, my validation was something outside of me. And yet again, it felt like a one layer after the other of uncovering, of unlearning. That's why the name today. My power was kept in place because my body was so tense. I had such a tense, deep body. I went into a whole training on the polyvagal theory, the vagus nerve that runs through our whole brain, becomes part of our facial muscles, becomes part of our heart, runs through every organ, making sure of one, how is everybody doing? And are we feeling safe? It ends right at which is not more than like 12, 15 years knowledge, that it ends right at the cervix, the top of the bottom of the womb. And there I was with all my somatic knowledge and a body that I've taught, and I've taught teachers how to speak in a somatic language, how to choose joy through the body, and so forth. So I was so in tune with everything that came up, and my body became my guide. Why? Because I slowed down. And here I was with such a tight lower body that, of course, there was no way that my nervous system could find ease. So our power, our life force, our juices, our sensuality, everything that makes us women, like we're here to like be receivers and widening and receptive and drinking in and slow and leaning back. That's our nature. And I just knew that one much less than the one that got shit done. I also noticed in that process that I had been so strong in my no and so weak in my yes. And what do I mean by that? I was so clear on what I did not want, so I'm going to go do this. So when I was asked in this whole recovery, what do you truly desire, Camilla? I had no idea. I didn't know. I knew what I didn't want. So that become one more breadcrumb of following. Oh, okay. So I've been away from motivated my whole life. What if? Yeah, baby. Yes, this is the direction. And that you can even see it in my hand. That was this curiosity. This was like some kind of delicious, new to me, slow-paced, delicious, juicy dance. And I'm using these words very consciously because they became the whole fundament of why embodied permission was created. So what I usually say is that embodied permission was created out of a breaking open. I literally just broke open And then the tagline. So I was there. I had made those 3 months of following effortlessness, the current of that. And then there was that, ooh, and I knew my habituated way, my learned way was, all right, I'm just going to go do the workshop, do the website, get a logo, like that very patriarchal, if that's how you pronounce it. Charcuterie. If you can say charcuterie, you can say patriarchal. That was an intern Lisa and I had before. There was this word that kept like pleasure. It was pleasurable. And every time I would share the tagline of embodied permission, pleasure, play, purpose, there was so much charge in that pleasure. There was like, and then I began to like venture into that, and pleasure has been so connected with our genitals and something sexy, or you like self pleasure, but pleasure is like a sunset and chocolate and the smell of after summer rain, and a hug of a loved one. That pleasure. And the reason why the word came was that I knew that if I followed the current, if I followed pleasure, I was not coming from my mind, by my will. I was following that. And then I knew I was in that towards motivation. So that was another breadcrumb. Then I went into play. And that was literally, that's where these 30 plus years of dancing came in. I don't know about you, but sometimes it just gets so really serious, especially when we're, feeling overstressed and so and on our knees, and our whole bodies ache. And then my period menopause was arriving at the same time. So did I feel a little insane at times? So there was this play, and play became play on purpose. So can we play on purpose? Can we give ourselves permission to widen enough to find safety within ourselves, so that we can give ourselves that permission slip to widen for actually doing the work we came here to do? And that doesn't matter if you're selling something, or if you're in corporate, or if you're a female leader. It's about that freely moving life source within us, so that when that moves freely, there's that capability almost, to grow that capacity in our nervous systems, so that when the change happens and that little biochemistry reaction happens, that we know we're safe, that we know that the earth will find me as I land my foot next time, and not turn to something we learned or something we see works for somebody else. And like Lisa said, keto is supposed to be working, so I'm just gonna dedicate my life to that, because it's told. But that whole idea of opening and being curious and asking questions, and most of all, to fill our cups first, whether it's with our diet, whether it's with the tempo we eat in, whether it's about speaking our truth, setting healthy boundaries, exercising, getting those 20 minutes of sun, telling somebody you love them and why. And as you probably just noticed, my whole body I consciously lowered my whole body. My voice got a little lower. I already felt that breath nourishing me in my deep body, so that what we desire to experience, whether that's more ease, a relaxed nervous system, arising after a pause with she is me. Can we have that singing in our singing bowl, our pelvic bowl, what I call the seat of our soul? So we're already in that song of it. And for me right now, after you shared I've shared how I let everything go, my limitless freedom, there was so much fear of letting all that go. I knew that, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I knew within that discomfort, within that fear, and within that doubt, in the middle of it, and this is like physics. In the middle of the discomfort is the comfort that we desire to experience. Within the doubt is that certainty that we desire to experience. Within the tense fear of letting go of a huge community is that limitless freedom that I allow to swing freely in my body. Yeah. So there I took the whole thing apart. I created literally embodied permission for something that I myself needed. So it's nervous system regulation. It's to find clear anchors in the body. So when we're running too fast, can I just allow my heels, my hips, my heart, my head, and my hands, like 5 stone, a cairn of stones, to take a conscious, paused presence. And what I notice when we put ourselves there, and maybe you have the same, just the fact of doing that inquiry shows so much. We want to rush out of it because I kind of haven't got the time, Camilla. I'm kind of on a schedule here. Do we want to just stay there forever? Yeah, there's so much aliveness. And as a dancer of 35 years, when I took that pause, took that conscious stepping into pause presence, noticing that actually became the most dynamic part of my dance. I wasn't moving. Nobody could see what I was doing, but I was in such a vibrant, alive dance below my skin. Can we then, when we find that pause present, can we orient ourselves? We have a world where we just live like this, just live what's like in our windshield, right? So there's a whole other part of us that is our true dance partner, as I call it. There's a whole part of 360 degrees awareness. Can I be moving enough within that? So it's not just like keto, I need to, I should have, no. What if I slowed down? What if every time, which is one of my practices, an old one though, but I want to share it. I had a practice for a year that every time I'd send an email, I would have 2 full breathing cycles, an in-breath, the shift into an out-breath, hanging out in the pause until the body naturally takes a new in-breath, and then an exhale. Send. So small, little, tiny living meditations within the day is an invitation. It's a way of finding continue to, let me say it in another way. Centering, being a centered being, It's not about staying in the center all the time. That would be great if we sat on the top of a mountain, right? But then life happens. I see centering as being able to fall off center and re-finding our ways back. Yeah. So the whole unlearning to relearn. What is my tempo? What is my value? What do I need? Which habits are just happening? If I feel some insecurity of the next step, or I don't know, stepping out and sharing your poetry and you never saw yourself as a poet, what's that behind it? Is there a little hidden driver? And in order for us to unlearn all of that, meeting it where it's sitting in the body is a great way. Yeah. So here we are in the pause presence. We have an orbital, a 360-degree awareness where we can send our attention in all directions, with awareness in all directions, with equal attention and without preference. And then to have everything as an inspiration that comes in. The two lovers that walked in the street hand in hand, and she just looked up at him. It had a response in me. He just came out of his canoe. I have water down here. And he just walks as a long tree. And I'm curious, what if my spine was walking that long? Do you see what I mean? So rather than being in the fast pace, it's a way of slowing down. And it's a way of finding really easy to apply in everyday tools. And I do that through workshops. I have a leadership training. I do it with embodied writing groups. I'd have one-on-ones. But really the whole idea and the whole invitation is, what is it he say? James Baldwin says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing is changed until it's faced. So we can either run faster than we can follow. I did that. I know we all have a tendency to do that because it feels safe. Why? Because it's known. So when we desire to change something, there's that little threat of our nervous system being an alert. What's next? The unknown. Can we lower ourselves and slow ourselves and our pace down long enough so that we can sense? My word is pleasure. When I follow pleasure, it might be joy or ease or effortlessness for you. But to be able to be in that conscious devotion of I'm going to follow. I'm going to follow what feels right. What feels right. Where is my next place to be? And what I mean with where is my next place to be oftentimes is that's where there's a little charge. That's where there might be a little, ooh, yeah. So here I am in a new home. I come on She Is Me Global. I don't have a website working. I have a bug, and it feels like such an amazing gift to not focus on getting that fixed, but actually getting the other one that holds my name, that has it all beautifully ready and to go, to have that, to have waited long enough until I felt ready. That's one. But secondly, sitting here, there's so much coming up along with it. I should have had that website ready. I should have, have the whole what could I have done? Like a presentation of the next embodied presence training and when it's and the dates. And here we are. that's still there. But I believe that we are the most, and what Lisa is a great example of, and I'm pretty sure that these amazing women that I'm in the company of today, it's when we show up and tell our stories that we feel each other. That's where we're the most compelling. When I normally call it when we unzip to our souls and meet each other with hearts, arms open to our hearts, right? And that is just my take. That's just one way of knowing that my body is always my co-pilot in, and my buddy, my buddy, Buddy, to tell me what's going on, because I'm still having all the learned ways. So the unlearning, the unpacking, the unveiling for me to for us to come unwound of all those threads, all that heaviness of the past. We can carry it as a heavy cloak, or we can allow it to dissolve, and clearing and cleaning it, and say, invite them to the table. I'm not about talking about they can't join, but to grow enough capacity in our nervous system so that everythingness that we are has a seat on the table, and maybe even a voice. That's where I don't have all my shit together. I've just done some steps. So rather than me selling you a course and having the whole marketing talk on, that was great. I was great at it, and I exhausted myself. So the way of continuously daring to just show up is really where I always desire for us to take us, from holding back, hiding, into safety, to find that safety within ourselves. The only one we need permission from is ourselves, right? So when we have that, we're sovereign, and it doesn't matter what we put ourselves into. We do it wholeheartedly and with soft bellies and juicy pelvic bowls. Yeah. And that's that whole journey of unlearning how power was kept in place from perfectionism, and I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, and I also have some size, so I better dim my voice, and all these ways we were, especially here in Denmark. Be loud, but don't be too loud. Say your opinion, but not in that way. Be big, but don't be too big. All that staccato we've been learning. This is the whole invitation for you and I. And what I proudly hold is that not only are the unique stories that only we, you and I hold, that makes us us, is such an inspiration when it's shared out loud. So not only what I usually say, are you needed, you're necessary. And you and I taking remembership in this new paradigm, in this new world. Can we grow the safety, standing shoulder to shoulder, to be the cycle breakers and have that contagious courage that those that came before us might not have. It wasn't safe. I think it's safe now. And it begins with us filling our own cup, right? So I'm checking that the time is 34. You can find my website in a few weeks. It's ready when it's ready. Find me on social media. Ask all the questions, all the answers you might have after this. I have a newsletter list if you want to get on that. I'm sure you will find me in that too. Substack is where I put my writing up soon. And unfortunately later this panel, unless I am super energized after that, but the panel will be at 1 a.m. For me, and that would be a little too late. And I'm teaching my last part, the third immersion of a training that I'm teaching here in Copenhagen tomorrow. So I gotta get my sleep in. So I hope that there's some spaciousness, some inspiration that landed for you. And I want to end, as promised, with a little tiny inquiry. Whether you're sitting or if you just want to stand up, you can do that. I'm going to stand up. And then, here comes the sun. And just allow your breath to just find you here. That's the beauty of the breath. We're kind of just being breathed, right? And what if you allowed your tailbone to just grow into the ground and become this long alligator tail that just hangs? Maybe that top of your head grows to become a feather that grows up out of your head and tickling the clouds under the belly. Your wings, the root of your wings hanging on your shoulder blades, from your shoulder blades. And if you feel like walking around, you can allow those shoulder blades to just hang and be dragged behind you. Allowing your hands, fingers to just drip like warm honey. And if I would have had music and the ability to share music, I might have shared music at this point, but we're just going to do it in silence. Whether your body is swaying or sitting in stillness, I'm just going to invite you with the most open curiosity. You might be surprised of what your body has for you. In a minute, without thinking, without anything. You don't need to know why it happens to be there in your body. But I'm just going to ask you to, when I ask you to place your hands wherever your body asks you, for some tension, for attention, for some tending, for some befriending. So where in your body? And just see where your hands land. One hand, both hands. Take a breath and allow your body to just receive that conscious touch. Your body was heard. You replied. You responded with touching right here. And without any further ado, wherever your hands have landed, mine landed right here on my upper chest, my sternum. I'm going to ask you what? And in whatever room you're in, if it's possible for you, announce what is there. Your body will tell you. If you don't know, it's all good, but your body will tell you. And once you have it, announce it. Mine was sadness. Announce what is there. And then the third step, follow it. Follow that. From where your hands were planted. Mine was sadness, so I am following just a little 30-second journey of following sadness and how it wants to move in your body. Can you see? I could be at the office. I could be at my office hotel where I sit and work, and nobody really has to know. I'm still just having that dance discovery, if you will, that dance intimate of unlearning, of my unlearning of, oh, here we go. I wasn't even aware. Excuse me. And then when you're ready, you might have a little more space there. And whatever you desire to experience, mine was just like lightness. I take 2 conscious steps away from whatever holds me back in heaviness of to-do list and da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then I take 2 steps in to that. Oh, it just became a silk kimono of lightness for me. And then I walk. And then I go order myself a cappuccino, or I put up that post on Facebook. But it comes from that place of having filled my own cup, to give myself an embodied experience, a permission to be all that I am in that now. Very, very difficult to put it into 30 plus years, put it into 35 minutes. But that was a little tiny experience. And just notice, write me, please. Let us know. Ask the questions in the panel later if there's something that come up. I'm sure Lisa will hand them over to me. I think we will do a podcast, her and I, so that we can cover those questions and maybe even dive a little more in. Let's just end with a breath. Allowing everything that is no longer needed to just in this now to dissolve off of you. It has been an utter and immense pleasure and quite new, to sit and speak to a little dot right there, which is called you. I hope this was an inspiration. I hope there's a widening happening of something that was narrow. If you loved it, take it with you into your next inquiry, into your next encounter, into your meeting with a loved one, a date, a conference. If you absolutely thought it sucked, take that with you into your next encounter, into your next date, into your next loved one and meeting. Thank you, everybody. If anything, find me. I'm always easy to find.
I put your Instagram here so that people could reach out, since your website's not up yet, but everyone's on social anyway, so they'll find you. So, oh my gosh, so many juicy bits. So my feeling that I seek is peace.
Mm-hmm.
It's peace. I find joy in everything, but finding that joy, like you said, the sunshine, the tall man with the spine and the tree and smiling about those things. I mean, those things are joy. And when I can feel joy, I feel peace. I didn't know peace for most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's peace that I seek. Mm-hmm. And if it's not bringing me that sense of peace, at peace with myself, at peace mm-hmm. with the world, then I don't want it. I don't want it in my realm. Mm-hmm. I don't want it. It's something that distracts me from my flow, from my current. So I want to bring up a couple of nuggets.
Yeah, give it to me.
Nuggets in this. Nuggets. Strong in my no and weak in my yes. Mm-hmm. We have most women I know are there, but some of us who've done the work, we're strong in our yes now and weak in our no, which is great. But how do we balance that? How do we move that around? How do we unlearn? And I've been talking about unlearning for years. So how do we unlearn that we can give ourselves permission and we don't need it from someone else? We can feel strong in ourselves, and we don't need anything outside of us to give us strength. So follow the current. That is such a good, I think I'm going to put that on a t-shirt next. Follow the current. Abraham, Abraham Hicks, Esther, she often says, drop the oars, go with the flow, go downstream, stop fighting the current, right? So follow the current. The work we came here to do. I know there are a lot of people, and I did for many years. Like, what is that work? What is the work that we came here to do? We don't know. And it's not always being a social media star. It's not always, it's inspiring others for me, it's inspiring others with my words and my actions. And I know that I was put here or came here to help other women find their strength and find their voice. And that's the work I came here to do. And it took me a very, very long time to pinpoint that, because I was so busy doing all the other things that I learned that I needed to do, but was getting me nowhere. And the treadmill just kept getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And I kept running faster and faster and faster until I couldn't do it anymore. Because you learn and you get those benchmarks. So those, here's your target, and you reach that target, and then they move it, and then you reach that and they move it again. And because they never want you to succeed, and they meaning sort of the world and the systems and the powers that be, they don't want you to succeed. Well, guess what? We're not taking it anymore. We're not taking it anymore. We're finding our own power. We're not asking for permission, and we're out there helping one another. So you can't really stop that. You can't. Sovereignty. I think you said sovereignty. And I think that is such a great, maybe we can dive into that a little bit more on the podcast, because you hear a lot of people talk about it, but a lot of people don't understand what we mean by that. So I think that's a nugget we need to grow. What did you say? Grow the safety. Yes. Grow the safety. Safe is something that I always like. That's where I go into me to feel safe, because I've been very unsafe in my life. There's been a lot of unsafe situations that I've been in my life. So safety is here. Safety is, and I did what you did. This is where I went first. So that's important. It's heavy. It's important, right? And perfection. You said perfection. You didn't. But for perfection for me was where I always was striving to go. For acceptance, for recognition, for see me. I'm not invisible. See me. And if I'm perfect, you'll see me. But it didn't bring me peace. It didn't make me feel safe. It didn't bring me any sort of satisfaction.
Fulfillment.
Even when I had the goal and I got to the goal and I did everything I thought I needed to do right, I still wasn't satisfied. So perfection didn't bring me peace. Now I strive for peace. Now I do my breath work. Now I release, I unlearn, I relearn, I discover, I'm curious, all of those things that you talked about. Fantastic. I feel so good today. We're going to feel so good by the end of the day, even better. It's like my wings are coming out.
Oh, yeah. Believe me,
Yeah,
going to the store with the alligator tail sweeping the floor and the
I
dragging the
love that.
wings. It's just something else. I can just tell you.
That. Yeah, okay. That's my new persona. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I was talking to one of our speakers the last time she and I did right after we had a presentation, we did a podcast and we talked about dragons. And
Mm.
it was fantastic about breathing fire and that big tail and those wings and embodying that. And why not?
Mhm.
Again, give yourself permission to be the dragon. You don't have to wait for someone to say, "Oh, you're powerful," or "You're amazing," or whatever. No, be the dragon.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and as soon as you say dragon, I feel my achievement, my achiever getting in. So soon as you go, I'm gonna fucking show you a dragon, motherfucker. Sorry, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so in me. So can I? That's where is it pleasurable?
yeah,
As soon
yeah.
as
That's
that
pleasure.
yours is the current of peace, right? So can I follow the current of peace and like peacefully and yet so powerfully spread my wings and my fire of my dragon,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's an ongoing conscious devotion of showing up for ourselves in that radical honesty that I see it is.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Camilla, thank you.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'm so happy you did. You came. We will get together. The podcast, we'll record it as soon as we can make it happen because we got to keep going
Yeah,
on this energy.
I'm not traveling. I'm here the next until
Okay.
late of June. So just let me know.
Okay. Thank you. We will be
Thank you.
back at 10 a.m. with we're 8 minutes from now. Jody is a founding member. Jody's been with us for almost every event that we've had. So we'll be right back. Thanks so much.